I've been doing music for 20 years. When I was young, in my early 20s, I just used to preach about God in the juvenile halls. I used to rap and preach about God. This is before Christian rap is big. Christian rap is a big thing now with Lecrae and like everybody but it wasn't that big back then, and people getting Grammys and stuff. It's like a thing now. But when I was coming up, we just used to rap in the juvenile halls, and I used to rap at churches and stuff. And I wasn't very good. I mean, what I mean when it's hard because you always criticize yourself. Actually, my stuff was decent. I could still hold my own because rappers suck now. A lot of them are just so bad, and the standard's so low. So I wasn't bad in my 20s. I just wasn't as good as I thought I was. I felt myself a little bit. I wasn't that good compared to some other rappers. But I kept listening to music that my wife would listen to. She's a big Justin Bieber fan. I finally, after having 3 girls, I finally became a Justin Bieber fan. And then when he went through kind of his spiritual awakening and stuff, and he had some depth in his music, and he seemed like he was growing, I enjoyed his music. But he always have these features of these crappy rappers that were big, but there's terrible rappers. And I don't care what your brand is. If you suck, you suck. What I mean by that is I grew up on Dre and Eminem, and I grew up with a certain level of cadence and skill set and messaging. And it's like, this dude's auto-tune. He's not saying anything. He's not rhyming with the right words. He's got like no substance. Like, you got to have one. You got to either be like really good substance, maybe your cadence is bad, but like all of it's just like, man, you literally were propped up by the industry. And so I always tell my wife, if this guy can make it, I can make it. It wasn't cocky. It was just like, I know I got a better skill set than this guy. He's obviously got connections, or he's putting a message out that the record labels like, which is fine. But I just had to find my voice, So passionate about God. I've always been passionate about God, but I was pretty intense just preaching, and that was cool. And the whole Christian hip hop scene was weird too, because, right, like I told you about, like, why would I be competitive with somebody that if I help bring up a motivational rap and then they went off and did their own thing, I'd be happy for them, because what are we doing? We're pouring out, right? So what is Christian rap supposed to be? It's talking about God, right? It shouldn't be like a lot of competition in my mind, or like, but it almost seemed like the culture became a religious culture that was like the hip hop culture, in the sense that like there's still a lot of ego, still a lot of competition, people still being pretty arrogant. I remember there was this magazine place that I shared with them some of my music when I wrote some really vulnerable stuff about me going through a separation with my wife, and it was really powerful stuff. I knew it was good because it was real. And they were listening to it, right, and giving feedback. And one of the guys was mocking it because he's like, you sound whiny in it. And it's like, first of all, you're a Christian rap magazine. I literally poured my heart out about my wife and my redemptive process, and you guys are so disconnected from reality that you can't even like stop for a second, see me as a brother in Christ, or like a human that's like, man, that's tough, bro. Hey, why don't you work on this and this for your message? But you guys just mocked it. Like, what is this? So I never felt accepted in the Christian hip hop scene. I felt like it. And then a lot of rappers that couldn't make it in rap just went to the Christian hip hop scene because they're like, we can't make it in rap, so let's try to make it over there. I didn't like it. And it was also got to a point where like they only like certain rappers, just like the industry is now. And I never felt accepted, and I didn't like it. And that's the temptation when you're in your early 20s, to want to sound like other people that are making it, want to adapt to their voice. I finally found my voice. I really liked NF, because all of a sudden NF starts doing really emotional songs that are real raw, and even people are making fun of him, and then he blows up because Capitol signs him, and he's really good. And all of a sudden he's no longer. All of a sudden, what I was doing with some emo stuff, not even emo, just like emotional, deep stuff, was now socially acceptable because NF took off. But I also liked NF because he did cinematic scores, and I really liked that vibe. I was like, this is sick. These cinematic scores are dope. And so it was just an evolution of all of it, where I don't know what happened. I was running a company, and I just started pouring out. Music's always like an expression of my soul. So as a really passionate Christian, I wrote about God. When I was really going through hard stuff with my wife, or I was really depressed about certain areas of my life, I wrote about that. So I'll have really emotional songs that are real raw. I never fit into like writing for one genre one way. I was always an expression of who I am. Well, I'm an entrepreneur. So I just started writing from the mindset. I don't know why or how it happened, but I started writing from that place. And it just was the right place at the right time. I was coaching a client from New York. He was going to be at a conference. He wanted me to coach his CEO. I helped him hire his first CEO. And then he wanted me to go to a conference. And I had already shown him a sample of my first motivational rap song because I was like, what is this? I wanted people to like it. He beta tested it at a big mastermind with people who didn't know me, people that weren't into rap, and they all loved it. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Looks like maybe some of my preconceived notions on whether people would accept this form of music in the business realm. They appreciate the message. So then when he wanted to have me do a summit with him and his team, he's like, I want to integrate you with my team and for us to have a summit. But he's like, I'm actually going to be at this conference. I spent like 30 grand to be on the stage. Since my team's already going to be out there, I already spent everything. Why don't I just pay for you to come out and coach me on my talk and meet with my team? So then it was just really natural. It was honestly organic, bro. I didn't know I found my niche. Does that make sense? I just said, well, if I'm going to be out there, why don't you use me up? Why don't I perform that song before you talk? Why don't I open up for you? And he's like, that'd be cool. And I always say this joke because he's kind of a nerd because he's an analytical guy who has a software. But he's changed his brand. He's a pretty cool dude. But it was a pretty big flex for him to have a rapper come out. And
what was the song you guys performed?
I opened up the song called Level Up.
Okay, and where did that song come from?
That song specifically came from because I moved to California after living in Montana for 7.5 years. I'm from California, but I moved back to California and I was making good money and I found myself getting really like comfortable. And so the lyrics are, it's like I'm ready to settle for the bronze instead of the gold medal. No, never. It's pedal to the metal. I go to make six figures made, but I could have been better. Thoughts they invade, yeah. But you're doing okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing okay, but okay is mediocre, and I'm not okay with that. I need to be better. I want to be the best. I cannot settle. I will not rest. I see the devil. I see the truth, and I'm leveling up. Yeah, leveling on levels. It was just writing from a perspective of I can't get comfortable, and I'm scared that I'm getting comfortable. Because it's not about what you make. That's not the point. The 6 figures or 7 figures or 8 figures, none of that's the point. But the point is, if I'm getting comfortable and I'm not giving my all, and there's a place for peace, there's a place for rest, there's a place for contentment. So don't get me wrong, but there's like a comfortable that like I'm just gonna chill now. I think I've done well enough.